Happy Friday, geometry students. So today we're talking about similarity transformations. So transformations, we talked about a little bit. Remember rotations, reflections. It's when we moved or reshaped an object. And we've been talking about similarity too, all right? So a similarity transformation, put them together. We're really just going to be making an object larger or smaller today. That is our focus, making our object larger or smaller using scale factor. All right, so what we're specifically doing is called a dilation. All right, the definition of dilation is the shrinking or enlarging of a math object. This is called a similarity transformation because the image, remember the new image, and the pre-image, your original one, are similar to each other. All right, so just making it bigger or smaller makes it, they are still similar. They're not congruent, but they are still similar. So the scale factor tells us how much bigger or smaller our object is getting. Well, what's a scale factor? We kind of talked about it earlier, but a little review. A scale factor is a number by which all the components of an object are multiplied in order to create a proportional enlargement or reduction. All right, so to figure out the size of our dilation, we're going to be looking at scale factor. Well, how do we find scale factor? All right, well, first thing we need to do is look at corresponding sides. So if we're going smaller to bigger triangle here, our corresponding are 5 and 10. How do you get from 5 to 10? You multiply it by a scale of 2. All right, so going from bigger to smaller, you go 5 times 2, or anything times 2 on this triangle. 3 times 2 gives you 6. So the scale factor is 2, okay? Now, if we're going bigger to smaller, how do you get from 12 to 6? Well, you times it by a half, or you divide by 2. Timesing by 1/2 and dividing by 2 are the exact same thing. So notice here, if your scale factor, I'll put SF for scale factor, is greater than 1, you are going to get enlarged. All right, you're getting bigger if your scale factor is greater than 1. If your scale factor is less than 1, you're going to be getting smaller. All right, it's a reduction. However, it's all still the same. It's all similar. You're just getting bigger or smaller. All right, and I wrote that down in words here. If your scale factor is greater than 1, then you get larger. For example, you have a small ABCD parallelogram. You multiply each side by 4, so your scale factor is times 4. For example, 4 to 16, all right? Then you know you're getting larger because your scale factor is larger than 1. So, yep, you get bigger from there to there, okay? So once again, I figured out the scale factor is 4 by looking at the corresponding sides. So how does 4 get to 16? Well, we have to multiply it by 4. Conversely, if your scale factor is less than 1, then your figure gets smaller. So your pre-image is your original image, okay? So if we're going to make it smaller, our scale factor is going to be less than 1, all right? So you can't really tell on this picture what the actual scale factor is. However, we just know that's between 0 and 1. It's going to get smaller. It's not greater than 1, all right? So let's try and find our scale factors now. All right, how do we actually do this? So we look at our corresponding sides first, okay? So let's say we want to go from there to there, the smaller triangle to the bigger triangle. Well, first thing we know is our scale factor is going to be larger than 1 because we're getting bigger. So how do we get from 4 to 12? What can I do? What can I multiply it by? If I multiply it by 3, 4 times 3 gives me 12. So a 3 would be my scale factor, okay? Now let's go from the bigger to the smaller. Once again, look at your corresponding sides. How do I get from 40 to 20? Well, you could divide by 2. But remember, dividing by 2 is the same thing as timesing by 1/2. So my scale factor is 1/2. So take a pause on this video. Try a couple yourself. And once you have these, go ahead and go to the homework. All right, welcome back. I'll just do a couple models here. So I'm going to look at my corresponding sides to see what my scale factor is. So how do I get from 4 to 12? Well, I times by 3. All right, so my scale factor is 3.